President Trump says the U.S. is in serious discussions with a new, more reasonable regime to end operations. But then on the other hand, you have Iran's parliament speaker accusing the U.S. of publicly seeking negotiations while privately preparing for a possible ground attack. He claims Iran will not exit the conflict without asserting its strength. I'm not sure how strong Iran is at this point, but how do you read these statements?
When we say Iran, it could go in two different directions. One is the core of the current regime, even after the losses of the number one, number two, and all these generals and commanders of the IRGC. That core still continue to think that they are in conflict with the United States, that they are going to wait as long as possible, investing in what they believe is a crisis that would emerge inside the United States, maybe violent demonstrations, maybe, terrorism. Who knows the plans that they have exactly for us? But the president is working on two levels. Number one, he is stating clearly that if there are many paths of negotiations, then he will go for it. So he's not going to be accused of you didn't want peace and you are aggressor. On the other hand, we can see the plan. We can see the weakening of the regime. We can see the taking out of missiles, Navy, Air Force, and potentially, as you just mentioned, as the report just mentioned, an operation on land. But that land could be islands, as far as we can see.
Well, Eugene, Trump obviously seems pretty pleased with what's going on here. Iran just let another 20 cargo ships through the Strait of Hormuz as a, quote, sign of respect or the fact that they're losing. Listen to this.
As you know, they've agreed to send 8 boats 2 days ago, and then they added another 2, so it was 10 boats. And now today they gave us as a tribute, I don't know, I can't define it exactly, but they gave us, I think out of a sign of respect, 20 boats of oil, big boats of oil.
So on one hand, you've got them talking all this trash, we're going to rain fire and fury onto all these people. On the other hand, they're like, you know what, let's go ahead and let some boats through here. I mean, it just seems public posture versus behind-the-scenes negotiations are very different.
Yeah, I think the Iranians know that their situation isn't as good as the U.S. media wants to portray it. In fact, it's horrible. I think one thing we need to constantly be reflecting on is just what a success this war is. It's a success measured really in every way other than the 1-hour attention span of social media. When you compare it to where the duration of previous wars and just the one-sided pain that is being inflicted, it's true that Iran has some ability to impose economic costs, but that ability, is limited by the fact that they're getting constantly treated, and they need to release oil also to survive. I think it needs to be also made clear that closing the Straits of Hormuz is against international law. It is completely illegal, and the United States should accept nothing other than the full reopening of it. Iran cannot be left as the custodian of the Straits of Hormuz, because that essentially leaves it holding a knife to the economic throat of the world.
Great point. And Walid, we also know that Pakistan announced it will host talks between the U.S. and Iran, though it's not clear yet if they'll be direct or indirect. Can you give us a sense of Pakistan's possible role here?
It looks to me, at least from previous experiences and from what I'm reading from the political elites in Pakistan and in the region, that Pakistan, some hotel, some place there will witness the final agreement, if there is a final agreement between the United States, this administration, and the regime or the remnants of the regime. But it is possible also that the actual negotiations are not happening in Pakistan, because they started before Pakistan made that call. So what we are seeing now, or possibly will be seeing, is negotiations somewhere in a third country or on a different dimension. And if there is a result, a serious result that could be acclaimed and actually stated, Pakistan will be the guarantor of the diplomatic expression and value of what was happening. But that's far in time, in my view.
Yeah, Pakistan also nuclear power, good to note.
Yeah. Walid Phares, Eugene, Kontorovich, thank you both for your expertise this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.